All right, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Toffees, guys. It is the 8th of October. We're doing a special recording for you if you're watching the live show. If not, and you're listening to the podcast, pretend that nothing is different. You know me, my name's Toffees. You can find me on Twitter at Toffees_Dota2. You can find the podcast, the RSS feed, and the YouTube links all over at the SoundCloud. And of course, if you want to support the show and keep it grassroots, because that is ultimately our biggest goal, is chase away the sponsors and keep it for you guys. You can give a small donation or words of encouragement over at patreon.com/Toffees. And I'm joined today in the studio, theoretically, by our guest, SwindleMelonzz. His name is Kyle Friedman. He's the captain of Complexity Gaming, the brother of Z-Freak. How are you doing today, sir?
You know, they say it could always be a little bit better, a whole lot worse.
That is absolutely true, and I'll take that over the second option, and that is absolutely sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our normal show. We're going to do a good summary of what's going on in the scene right now, and then we've got a great interview all set up, including Reddit questions and some other fun things for you. So let's get this show started. Pro News is our first feature, and the big one today, not that anybody didn't expect it, but TC has officially announced his departure from Team Liquid. You can find that over on liquiddota.com, the official announcement. Literally, when they released the press release, Liquid said, this is no surprise to anyone. So I think this was probably one of those things that we just knew was coming, especially when you saw like Way2 standing in for ESL. So not a big surprise there. Do you think there's a future for Liquid Gaming, Swindle? Do you think that they're going to try to find a new team, or do you think this is sort of a focus on other projects deal?
Oh, geez, I have no idea.
Right?
I will say, I don't know. I'm still not really sure what constitutes flaming as far as Dota goes. Han had a really, really low limit, but I've heard some really, this is just, of course, rumors and things I've heard from, you know, people who have passed with the organization, but people, past players aren't really fond of them. They feel like they received inferior treatment, which might have something to do with the fact that there's a bunch of just absolutely incredible Dota 2 organizations. You know, like Complexity Gaming. I mean, come on.
There you go.
But specifically, I've heard a bunch of good things about Alliance and Cloud9, and just people get pampered. I mean, I came from Han, you know, we didn't get shit. Okay? we were lucky if we got a free meal here and there.
Nice.
Whereas now you're in Dota, people are kind of expecting $2,000 salaries. When they go to LANs, they want massages and their meals delivered, like all kinds of crazy stuff, which is way overboard for me, but, you know, that's totally unrelated. But I don't think Liquid's going to get a team soon, just because right now there's a pretty big gap between like the big tier 1 teams that are unsponsored are Tinker and Secret, which of course they're already rumored to have teams lined up, but they're not big enough to score one of those teams. And then there's us, like SNA, Navi US. So like SNA would be what I would think they would have a chance with, but as TC just got dropped from Liquid and he's playing for SNA, I'd see that as highly unlikely.
Right, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know where Liquid's going to go with it. They're a staple, and I think that they're sort of that old guard, right? The idea of when Dota 2 was burgeoning, Liquid was there as a major North American organization. The question is, can they keep up with the bids that are coming in from new organizations, like, say, Complexity, that was previously in other games and has branched into Dota 2 aggressively, and we see that it's been gone very well. So definitely more competition to find good teams out there. So the next piece of news, Bulba and Way2, sticking along with the sort of Liquid storyline, will be standing in for Navi.us, Narvi if you're a classic like me, over in ESL 1. So I don't know if this means that they will be taking these spots that have unofficially been opened up by the departure of Brax and 1437. Both of those things are unofficial. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more on Friday when Brax comes on the show to talk about what's happening and kind of where he's going with this whole thing. But just so you know, those will be the two stand-ins, and those are some pretty strong stand-ins to take with you to ESL. Plenty of competitive competition experience.
Sorry to interrupt you, but could you, the two stand-ins, you said Ragnarok and Way2, right?
It's Bulba and Way2.
Bulba and Way2. Really? Interesting. Okay.
So
they've been scrimming with this guy Ragnarok, and I don't know. I only know who he is. His name's Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dota's familiar, but he has a really lengthy Han history. He played for like 3 years, was really well known as being one of the best players in the scene.
Right.
So I'm actually surprised that they're going with Bulba, but it makes sense because, you know, he's just more of a He's just got more experience. You know, he's been around the scene longer, so it makes sense.
Yeah, let me ask you that. As somebody who's you played in LANs, I saw the some pictures of you winning LANs over in Han. Do you think that having LAN experience comes into play when it comes to performances at those big tournaments, like previous LANs?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, my experience, I've been to 10 LANs thus far. I lost my first 5, I won my last 5.
Nice.
So one could argue that experience has something to do with it, but I think it's got a lot more to do with just, it's all about just your confidence going into it, the relationship you have with your team, and how you're dealing with your jitters. I mean, personally, whenever I go to a LAN and whenever I play big matches, I always get really cold and I start shivering. It's very weird.
Interesting.
But it definitely affected me more earlier on. I think it's something that's necessary, but it really doesn't matter if you've been to 40 LANs or 5 LANs. Once you get over the whole, holy shit, I'm playing, there's cameras, and I'm on stage, it's no big deal. And you really can kind of tune out everything once you get used to it.
It's interesting. It's a nice perspective to have. So the other big piece of pro news that we'll run through real quick, and this is one that most folks probably don't know about or really haven't followed that closely since Power Rangers and Moscow 5 have been in really dire straits of late. But it has been announced that Nexus, who just left Moscow 5 about 3 days ago, will be joining Power Rangers, replacing Moonlight, who just was underperforming for what Power Rangers were trying to do. They obviously took a big hit when they lost their captain a couple of months ago and haven't been able to bounce back. So maybe this will be the key, the Anton's key that unlocks the power of the Power Rangers. I love the way that they played last, Starladder 9 and 8. They had some really good aggressive style of play, and I'd love to see them return to that. Hopefully this is the catalyst that allows that. Now let's roll over to tournament news, and this is the thing that we track for you guys, because if we don't track it, there's just too much to keep track of. And it's short and simple today. The big one that I want to talk about, or one of the big ones I want to talk about, is Energy OK. It is a European energy drink, and it has announced that it's going to do a $40,000, that's US, tournament in the Southeast Asian scene. This is the third major multi-$1,000 tournament, so we're talking 20,000 plus, that has just been announced for the SEA scene, which tells me that SEA, and let's be honest, when you talk about them on the competitive scale, SEA is sort of always the afterthought to these big invitationals, right? It's like, let's get the European, let's get the Chinese, let's get a couple of Americans, which we were sort of a joke 2 years ago, and now we actually have representatives that are putting us in good position there. And then it's like, let's take an SEA team. My question is, do you think that this many tournaments blowing up in that region for this amount of money signal the ascendance of SEA into the upper echelon of play?
And you're asking me this?
I am.
Jeez, that's a pretty heavy question. I've only been playing Dota for like 4 months, so truthfully, I don't even think I've seen a C Dota match.
Fair enough.
To relate it back to what I do understand, which is Han, the main issue with our SEA scene was that the competition was lacking, and there was very little integration. SEA teams, they were only scrimming and playing tournaments against their fellows in the region. And I think what's really necessary for them to get a big foothold is to just sort of get to more international events and scrim stronger teams. So there's obviously, like, the thing is, where there's money, that, like, if you build it, they will come. So if you start throwing $100,000 tournaments, or like this one, I think it's $50,000 with potential compendium support. Like that's a decent amount of money for just an online event.
Absolutely.
And I can't see it doing anything but significantly foster growth in the scene. However, I don't think that there will be a tier 1 team that comes out of that region until they get at least 6 months of solid competition against the international scene. And
we do have a couple of big teams that have super teams that have started to form up over there. And I think that this will perhaps give them money when they win these tournaments to allow them to develop. Because that's one of the keys, is the infusion of cash that lets you focus on training, that lets you do what you need to do. I mean, I run a morning show and work a full-time job, and let's be honest, the morning show suffers. So you have to wonder just how much that hurts play when you're trying to do both at the same time. So next one up is news from Alliance, who has had a interesting run over the last couple of months, starting out with the last TI. We've seen a bit of a backslide from them. They started to pick it back up with their big qualification for massive tournaments, including Starladder, where they have solidified their position in the LAN final. But unfortunately, they have now been DC'd from the D2CL. Long story short, Loda tweeted out and said, guys, we used up our wild cards. We can't be there to play this thing. I think it was because they were flying today, and we've officially been disqualified from the D2CL. All previous games that they played there, all previous results have been completely nullified and removed essentially from the tournament. So, you know, I don't think that they absolutely needed it. It was a big tournament. It was great for them to be in, but they've really kind of been getting back on their feet lately, especially with the addition of Chessie, which I think we can probably talk a little bit about later. But it's been going very well for them, and it's just a shame to see them knocked out of a massive tournament like that.
Can I comment real quick?
Of course.
The thing that I don't think you were going to touch on is just how it affects the other teams in the tournament. PR and Team Tinker both beat Alliance twice.
Right.
So PR goes from 7-7 to 5-7, and Tinker goes from 8-6 to 6-6. Whereas C9 and Na'Vi, I think C9 was 6-6 now, and they were 7-7. And I don't know if Navi's score, but it just changes up how things work.
Right.
So PR goes from having
a positive win-loss.
Guaranteed into tiebreakers, and now they need help to even make it into tiebreakers.
And that's a pretty significant blow, especially to PR, which we just talked about, is trying to make this comeback and prove that they're still a Tier 1 team or a relevant team in terms of that upper tier of play. So you're right, that is a massive blow to see Alliance not only leave, but to have all of their previous games nullified. So that, I think, is the big headline, is the nullification system. Next one, and we'll go through this one real quick just so that you guys know, Starladder has wrapped up. The European division ended today, and Na'Vi has clinched the last spot. This was the last grouping for SLTV. They are waiting to put into place. Alliance, Na'Vi, Team Tinker, and Secret Team are going to the LAN finals to represent Europe. And honestly, I've got to say right now, for my money, those are probably 4 of the 5 that I would say really deserve to be sitting there at the table. Don't stab me if you're a fan of someone else, but I think other than Cloud9, these are the teams that have been performing the best in LANs over the last 2 weeks, so it should be a pretty good final. And again, my heart goes out to Cloud9, who just barely misses the cutoff.
They're a really interesting team, though. We watch. My team, we watch a lot of Dota, and we always laugh. We say you can never bet on Cloud9 or Empire. Invest at once.
Yep.
Because you never know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. Yeah, and in the show, we've actually started this. We've kind of coined the always the bridesmaid, never the bride for Cloud9, as they can't seem to. I think last time we looked it up, it was something like 9 or 10 this season since TI majors where they've gotten second place. So, I mean, even to the point where if you guys missed it, the owner of Cloud9 tweeted, I think it was yesterday, headed to New York, can't wait to see my team get second place again. The owner. So, I mean, that tells you a little something about how they're feeling. So hopefully they can step up, take it all the way on ESL 1, and really kind of prove that they're not just a second-place team. But that's it for tournament news. We'll go through all of the tournament roundups and scores and Dota Pit and all that stuff you guys want to know about on Friday. Right now, though, we got a man, a myth, a Han legend sitting in the house with us, and we want to talk to him a little bit about what his Dota 2 life has been like. He's new. In fact, I remember, Swindle, when I started to see the Han crew trickle into Dota, because I've been running the SCS tournament for NA Dota for a while, and I started to see Moon and B-Kid and Bloody Nine, and I think you played it a couple times, and a few others just started to kind of show up randomly with practice scrims. This was the best way to kind of learn to play the competitive Dota thing. And thinking to myself, who are these guys? Because they just showed up on my front door. I don't know their names, but they just took home my money. And I got to say, the transition seems to have gone fairly smoothly. So thank you for joining us. I've got a ton of questions. A lot of them are taken right out of tweets and Reddit posts from the fans. So if you're ready, we'll get started with this thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready, man.
Awesome. So first, I wanted to start off by having you tell us a little bit about your trip to get here. Here, obviously, being Dota 2 and Complexity Gaming, the Dota 2 reinvention.
It's a really long story, man.
Do you have like a short version or a 2-minute, just so that folks?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of fans who don't know you, so just let us get to know you a little bit.
Okay, well, I'll skip all the pun part because I'm sure you'll probably bring that up later in the interview. But we won this. It was really important for me to win 5 lands. That's what I really wanted to do because Fnatic won 4 before they left. So in April, we went to Thailand. We won We won a Hantor Worlds, and that was my 5th LAN. Went on a trip, had a blast, and it was it's just the greatest experience of my life. Like, it's hard to explain, but it was awesome. I came back home, and I was like, all right, I'm done with gaming. I went out, applied for some jobs, realized that I would end up working myself until the point where I would just have a crushed soul. And while I came to that realization, I turned on the International and saw that Peter Pandam and EG, in my opinion, had the strongest team at the International.
Right.
And I beat Peter, captain versus captain, at like 3 lands, like every tournament we went into. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy's about to win $1 million, and I think he should have won 5.
Yeah.
I'm really going to go do anything other than play Dota? Like, I'm an idiot. And starting like middle of June, like in the middle of TI, I started playing lots and lots of Dota, and I plan on continuing that for quite a while.
So can we go on record saying that your Dota career was inspired by PPD?
More so the prize pool coupled with the idea that he should and could have won it. I really still think
they could
had
have
the best team there. I really did. And I was angry. I was like, why did I play Han? What am I doing?
That's hilarious. All right, so there's a little bit of a background for you guys on why he came back in. Couple of things to talk about that I thought were really interesting as I kind of read over your story and went back through some old interviews. I think one interesting thing that a lot of folks don't know is that you play and have actually lived, I don't believe you do now, but for a long period of time, played and lived with your brother, Z-Freak, who's on the same team. What is that like? Is it challenging? And are there benefits to it?
There's definitely big benefits. I think that the time where we was most productive as far as teammates go was when we were in a team house. For not this past year, okay, so for the past year up until about September when I was extended, we were living with me, my brother, and then my 2 cousins who are brother and sister, and 21 and 19, which is the same age we are. Kind of all close to our family. And then before that, we spent a year in the team house, although our teammates were only with us for about 6 months. It's fun. It sucks sometimes because you can't really get away from the other person, but we've never really had big issues. We're pretty agreeable people, and we're not. The one thing I really like about my brother is he's not passive aggressive. So if he has an issue, like, we'll just yell at each other real quick and then be over it. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It's weird. It wasn't weird to me because, we lived together our whole lives. So it's just like, we're playing together, we might as well. And the one thing that I really like about it is when I first switched over to Dota, he had already come over for about 3 months. He had team offers. He was scrimming with people. And I was like, all right, I'm going to play Dota. And he's like, okay, well, are you serious? Like, you're really, like, I'm like, yeah, man, it's going to be my life. And he's just like, okay. Tells the offers no, and he's like, all in on SwindleMelonzz camp, which I really appreciated. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, much better guy than I am. I just wish he would let more people know that, but he doesn't like the sound of his own voice as much as I do.
I understand completely. So, on the record, Z-Freak, a great guy, dropped everything to support his brother's move into Dota, and so far, it has worked out very well for you guys. In fact, let me ask you this, and this maybe plays into his choice to just drop everything and make sure that you were the guy that he committed to. Someone told me, a little bird, that there was some controversy stirred up back when Z-Freak joined your Han team once upon a time. Is that true? And if it is, give me a short version of what actually happened.
Jeez, it's crazy. That's like 4 years ago.
That's how I roll. I like to bring it all up, man.
It's funny because when he went to that LAN, that was he was 16 and now he's 20. It's just a long time. But blast from the past. It was me, Trouf, Snaking, Peter, and this guy Sender. And I think TKOLOL. Okay, no, you won't know those people. But long story short,
I know
the drama happened. And again, this isn't stuff that the public was known because you don't kind of broadcast this stuff, but it's 4 years later, so it's okay. We had secured a spot for DreamHack, but we weren't getting travel. So we needed to find, like, I needed someone to pay for our flights, or we weren't going to go.
Right.
Got a guy to pay for the flights.
Okay.
Then we're deciding, okay, who the hell do we bring? We're scrimming. For a long time, there had been an issue with Trouf and Peter until it finally came to a cusp where Trouf pretty much said, I can't fucking play with this guy. It's either me or him.
Okay.
And Trouf was really good, albeit, I mean, I'm not going to get into his personality defects. I should have chosen Peter.
Okay.
Peter hates me, but, I mean, it's too late to change that. But should have picked Peter, screwed up, picked Trouf, bad idea, still hurting for it. And when we got that, we were talking to Snaking, and the next day, this guy's going to book our tickets, right?
Right.
And it's a big deal. Like, we didn't deserve the sponsorship. He definitely lost out on his investment, but I got to go to DreamHack, so, you know, live and let live. But it came down to, I was like, okay, Snaking, can you guarantee that you can come to this LAN if we buy you a ticket?
Right.
And he wasn't sure because his mom hadn't given him permission.
Okay.
So, like, you got to give me a yes or no. And he was kind of saying how, well, I haven't really asked her, but I'm working on her. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
And that wasn't good enough. And I'm like, okay. And there's a whole other backstory where he couldn't scrim for more than 2 days a week, but I'm not going to get into that.
Fair enough.
Then it came down to, do we want Zach or this guy Cardinal? I kind of abstained. Sender was boys with Zach, so we chose Zach. And Trouf picked Zach as well because he thought he had more talent and he was working harder. Because, man, the reason we were good in Han and the reason I hope we'll stay good in Dota is because we are some serious nerds and we played like a lot of Han to get ready for that.
Good.
And he's still upset about it because he says, you know, if I was the player I was, you know, a couple years ago, 4 years ago, we would have won that LAN.
Right.
We lost a really tough game 3, and then we were not able to face Fnatic in the finals. But
Okay.
too much detail, but hopefully that answers your question.
It does a little bit. So Z-Freak, you sort of went to bat to get in there, and now he went to bat for you, and it seems like it's working out pretty well. Now, I also know that you played with Chessie and Limp on the team as well. I think that was back with, that was before Stay Green, or was that in Stay Green, or was that back in Han?
Chessie was an original member of Stay Green.
That's right. So Chessie and Limp, guys, also brothers. So those of you who don't know, Limp, who plays on Complexity, is brothers with the Alliance Backpain Chessie, and the two of them played on Stay Green. So you played with these two sets of brothers. I want to know, when you played with that much family, did it feel somewhat more cohesive? Was communication better than it is without them? And I want to know what it's like seeing an old teammate play on a team that is, how do I say, Dota legend in the form of Alliance.
Okay, that's really not one question.
I know, right? It's two, but I like to slide them in like that.
It was really cool. Chessie, actually, it's just funny how everything comes full circle, because Chessie was on Complexity. And I sort of, it's funny because the gaming world and like the business world are somewhat related, and that the major conversations don't happen like online or at the LAN. They happen at the after party. And that's where the real moves go down. So we were participating in some questionable activities, and I was like, you know, everybody thinks you're good, et cetera, et cetera. I picked up this guy, Australian guy, Slicks, and long story short, I pretty much said, you know, hey man, you want to come move to Miami? We're going to set up a team house. He's like, hell yes, because, you know, Sweden sucks and it's freezing.
Right.
Well, it doesn't suck. The people are beautiful. The weather sucks.
I 100% agree.
Except for 2 months during the summer. So he moved in. I'm still really good friends with him. I mean, we lived together for about 6 months. I spent a couple weeks at his house. I went to Amsterdam with him twice and had a blast. Spent lots and lots of time with him. So I wish him all the best. When he joined Alliance, like, no hard feelings. It was, I mean, it obviously we would have wanted him, but you know, if they're going to offer, I mean, obscene amounts of money, and it's an all-Swedish team, and they're already, you know, invited to tournaments like WCA, where they just get. They're just invited, and they go to China and play for a $300K first prize. It's no big deal. But as for the communication, I think it was a really cool thing to have two sets of brothers fight. Like, it's a lot easier. You just don't have those arguments because brothers just argue. But the difference is the main thing I think that breaks up teams is you got to have there's two situations where either no one on the team is replaceable or everyone is.
Interesting.
And when no one on the team is replaceable, it makes improving a lot easier because you're not thinking, is this guy good enough to win with us?
Right.
Or is there someone better? And when you have two sets of brothers plus one guy, it's so much easier because You know
Right.
what? None of the brothers are getting cut.
Right.
But we're together. And we had a pretty solid fifth as well. And it's like nothing's going to change. So it makes those sort of relationships a lot easier because there's no question marks about, is my spot secure? It doesn't matter if you played bad today or tomorrow or the day before. You're not going anywhere. Get better and, like, let's win.
That's awesome. So it forces you to put that time and that training in. And I think I read an article that you guys were doing upwards of 6 to 9 hours of training per day. So that makes perfect sense to me. Now, I was curious. The name Stay Green, before you signed with Complexity, I always wanted to know why the name Stay Green. Just for my morbid curiosity, why'd you pick the name?
I mean, it started as, like, I mean, obviously, it kind of meant something different at the end. It started because we were playing before the Teen House. We had an Australian.
Okay.
And he didn't have internet service, so he was using a wireless card, like USB internet.
Okay.
And when it was green, it meant he was on 4G. If
Okay.
it was yellow, it was 3G. So we really wanted him to stay green because 300 ping is bad enough. But
Right.
Then he goes from 4G to 3G, and he's playing on
Nice.
like a Nokia flip phone's internet, and it gets a lot more difficult to play.
Right.
But, what it really turned to, it just started as like a silly inside joke, but we kind of grew to like the name for many reasons. I'm sure you could guess a couple. But
Absolutely.
it came to mean, that what all gamers try and do, which is just, we actually had a chant. It was just like, I would yell, stay what, and everybody would just scream, stay green, help get us
Nice.
hyped. But it just, I don't really know how to put it. Just do it just came pretty much down to, like, follow your dreams, do whatever the hell you want, and stay green. That's all I can come up with.
I like it. No, I like it. I think the start's fun, grew into something else. The fact that you had a chat just makes it even better. So right now, you guys used to have a Complexity house back in Han. You've talked about it a little bit. Is everybody living in their own prospective homes now? Is there a plan to have a team house? How's that going? And I guess in the same token, what are you hoping that the future, like, what's the future look like for Complexity as far as the team's concerned?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much I can reveal about
okay.
our contract, but I'm of the belief that a team house is the sole most important thing to growing better as a team. And fans of mine would probably know that I would not sign a contract with a team that didn't have that option on the table.
There you go.
So it's safe to assume that that will happen in the future. But
Awesome.
I can't either confirm nor deny, I suppose. But
You can't confirm nor deny, but we can maybe take an assumption that if performance goes well, we may see you guys taking that next step. which is exciting.
It's actually written into our contract that way. Yes.
There you go. All right. Well, I've written a lot of contracts in my time, so I had a feeling. Just thought I'd ask. So I have a couple of questions that we've pulled off of Reddit and some other places. This is a modified question from Firefly. He asked some really good ones, and I kind of put them all together into a consolidated. And basically, this is the question. You are, I would say, often, if not always, classified as what we call in Dota like a tier 2 team right now. I want to know, how does that make you feel? Do you agree with that assessment? And this is straight from Firefly's mouth, are you happy with the progress you've made in the last few months?
Well, according to NA Dota, we're a tier 5 team with 2 tier 4 players, so I'll take that as a compliment. Jeez, I didn't know we were
Fair.
that good.
Fair.
I don't really mind. Like, the thing that I'm focused, like, obviously we want to go to LANs. We're obviously just really upset we didn't go to Madison Square. I hate being bad. Losing sucks, but
Right.
all that matters is the international. And
Right.
finishing top 6 at a TI is going to gain more money than placing top 3 at every LAN up until that point, if it stays, equal to what we had in this past one. And that's really the goal. I've been playing Dota, I have been playing Dota for 4 months, 115 days. And I hope that I'm really bad, because if I'm not, then the competition wouldn't be nearly what I'd hoped it would be.
Right.
And we're not bummed about it. Zach's been playing for about 5.5 months, me, Riser, and them all started about the same time.
Right.
So we've still got a lot of growing to do. There's still heroes I haven't played. There's
Right.
still matchups I'll go mid against and just say, what the hell was that?
Right.
What is he doing? I don't know, and then I'm dead. So
Right.
we really don't mind. I mean, we're not supposed to be good yet, and we'll learn from it and we'll get better.
You're up and coming. And that leads me to, so Dodo.orb or .orb or whatever, I don't know how to say his name, from Reddit wants to know, what do you feel as a team that you need to do between now and the TI qualifiers to prove that you've got that potential to Valve?
Well, we have to start winning more tournament matches, that's for sure.
You know, and that's true-ish, but I will say, if you go back to the TI quals of TI4, which we can all agree was one of the biggest esports events of all time, a lot of teams got invites who didn't have a lot of big wins on their record. So do you think that there's other things that you can do in addition to, say, winning a major to get them to recognize your team?
I think what Valve weighs a lot of factors, but I think it makes sense where it's about team consistency and not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily go top 3 at a LAN, but you need to make your losses competitive, get to events, don't make massive roster changes after January, and just kind of prove that you want it and that you deserve a spot, because a team that forms a month ago that places higher than you at a LAN isn't going to supersede a team that's been together for a year's accomplishments, regardless of how well they did. And I think that right now we're sort of hampered, and I don't want to make excuses, but it is. We played in this Moscow Cup recently, where it was 1 game on EU and 1 game on US.
Interesting.
I believe we went 0-12 or 0-11 on Europe servers. Maybe 1-10. And we went 5-6 on U.S. servers, and it is so difficult for us to play at times because on EU servers, I'm in Florida, Rise is in Oklahoma, and Moon is in Vancouver, which is about as far west in Canada as you can get. And it is so frustrating to play when you just feel like you can't possibly win your lane. And that's, I think, one of the main things that's holding us back from being really competitive with other teams, and why making it into a team house is of even more importance than it would usually be. Absolutely.
I can definitely see that those, especially those East Coast or have team houses have value with that extra internet power you can pay for, which is always nice. It seems like you guys approach this very professionally. I'm actually really impressed to kind of have this conversation, hear about the thought that you guys have put into doing this. This is an interesting question I'm really curious about. It didn't surprise any of us when you signed with Complexity. Obviously, your history came into play there. Were there other sponsors that you courted, or did you just sort of bleed Complexity, you loved the company, and it was a no-brainer?
Truth be told, Beef, who is the general manager for them now, has done a lot of work with Han. I've seen him at many LAN events, and we've always been, kind of tight. Because he's just always been like a no bullshit kind of guy. And it's funny because I still do it now, but I would always bitch to him about like perceived injustices, and just like, what the hell are these? What is going on? Why are we spending $15,000 for bottled water? You could have given me $5,000 and I would have gone and bought some Dasani. So we've always had a good relationship. He set me up with a meeting with the Complexity Brass, and apparently being relatively well spoken and not retarded goes a long way in esports, and they pretty much came up with an agreeable deal and gave me what I wanted. There were no other sponsors we discussed with.
Awesome.
It really just came down to what they could offer us and what we could offer them, and it came out to be a pretty nice partnership. So with luck, we don't suck, so that they don't get burned, and
I think we can all agree that you don't. The fact of the matter is, you were a game or two away from an ESL LAN showing in your first 4 months. A game. We won't go into it. It hurts, but it's important for the people to know that you were. SNA in their current inception is a team that's been playing together for a very long time. They're a team that came out of the scene more than a year ago. Those of us who do a lot of North American Dota predicted that they would be a top American competitive team within 2 years. They made some roster changes. But you went up against a team that's been playing Dota in some professional capacity for a very long time, and were 1 game away from taking a seat at a prestigious major event LAN final. So I know it hurts, but at the end of the day, that's got to feel like a massive victory.
No, it doesn't. But I get why you could say that. From my seat, it blows. But it's especially frustrating. I don't want to get into the games, but like game 1, I gave away Drow for no damn reason, and then I thought about it later. Like I've like thought to myself, like we were like doing well against EG with Drow Visage in a game we have no shot at winning.
Right.
Why in the hell did I give them Drow?
Yeah.
Like, why did I do that? Why?
Why? It's like a scene from a movie. I can see you on your knees screaming.
So game 1 is just a wash. Game 2 we came out and we won pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then game 3 we had, and it's just, I don't know. I still don't know how we lost the game. I said it. I wrote this little blog that'll address it. But in Han, like we were the team. Like we won 5 lands in a row. That doesn't. We just walked over teams. Like we won games that any other team would have lost. We made the big comebacks. We made the crazy turnarounds. We always won that big game. When it was game 3 or game 2 and we were on the face of elimination, we would always win. And then we go to Dota and it's like this big one, and I'm thinking, like, I was so confident. I'm like, there's no way we lose this game. Like, this is destiny. And then we lost. And I just screamed and got mad, and then we had to play another best of 3 right after that.
Yeah.
It was grim. It was grim. But
it was grim. So a lot of fans asked this, so I have to ask you to sum it up. What was the overall ESL qualifier experience like for you?
It sucked.
It sucked because of the ending, not because of the process, right?
No, I mean, it was good games. It's just another issue and another reason we're really looking forward to Team House is because, like Na'Vi, for example, they don't play tournaments where they have to play on East.
Right.
They just won't play in the tournament.
Okay.
So you can imagine how difficult it is to find scrims against European teams.
Right.
Like, we just, I don't want to put them on the burner, but we played Coast the other day.
Yeah.
Played one game on Europe, lost. Played one game on East, won. They messaged me, hey, team doesn't want to play on East, but we'll continue on EU if you want.
Right.
Awesome. Played 3 games after that on Europe. Won, I think, 2 of them. It's just, that's irrelevant, but it's just so difficult because why would a European team play us when we're already a questionable skill level?
Right.
When they could just play one of 12 other teams on their home server. And it's made it a little difficult to find real competition. But as for ESL, I mean, it was fun. It was the first major tournament, but I mean, we really wanted to go to the LAN. We really wanted to just show, because that was we're good at LAN. I'm telling you, good at LAN, and we would have had a shot on a big stage, no jet lag excuse, like just
true. So it hurts, but at the end of the day, I think we, as a community, and this is a community show, a lot of the fans were really impressed and look forward to seeing what you've got in the future. So here's a question that was sent to me by Lord of the TV. So I wonder if he's actually the Lord of the TV, because if he is, I want some copyrights. That said, though, he wants to know what your favorite and least favorite hero is to play against in a pro game.
Well, I have become like the official mid player for my team. So I'll just give you the hero I don't even want in the game, which is Viper, okay? And I think there's another question coming up about why I only play Viper. And it's because my team thinks the hero is really good, and I do too. It's just one of those heroes, it's like, it's not fun to play with or against. It's just so annoying. Everything about the hero is annoying. That and Razor. Viper and Razor are the 2 I really dislike, and also the 2 I've been forced to play constantly.
Fair enough.
My favorite hero is Tough. I like a lot of Dota heroes. I really like, let me check out the library to make sure I don't miss one. I really like Brewmaster.
Okay.
I just love the design of it. As far as just hero design, like I think Furion is a crazy good hero that we're kind of learning how he functions. And the other one, I don't know, I really like Dota heroes in general.
Awesome.
I can't really pick a favorite.
So when you first came over from Han, I heard that you really loved Quap, Queen of Pain.
I still do.
Still do?
It's good. I want to pick him. Like I love in Han. He's in Dota. Like Quap is this like snowball hero that only does well if he wins his lane. In Han, he had like 15 less base damage, and his Q wasn't nearly as good. And he was still like a first pick hero. Like I love Quap. It's just I still don't know if the meta is just right for him, but like that's you can expect to see me play that hero in the future for sure. We do have a positive win ratio with him. I just have to convince my team that he owns.
that she is actually viable. And yeah, so she's kind of like a big Han hero, but with a little bit of a steroid buff. So that makes sense. By the way, the Viper question was sent to us by Soft Mints over on Reddit. So a great question there. That said, guys, that's about as much of the time as we have today for the interview. I think it's been great. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or address the fans for?
I don't know, not really. I'm really bad at talking with fans. I kind of just BS about whatever's on my mind, and right now I'm a blank sheet. So
let me ask you this: if there's going to be a lot of folks who listen to the show that maybe aren't familiar with Complexity. They don't know you. They don't know the players. You'll probably also have some of your old Han fans hanging out or checking this thing out too. To the new fans, the ones who don't know Complexity, who are interested in potentially following you, what would you say to these fans to convince them that, hey, we're a team that you want to get behind?
Well, the one thing I think we've got going for us is that we've yet to get polluted by the Dota ego syndrome.
Right.
Because we still really, again, we came from Han. In Han, when we went out after games, we'd go chill with, we'd go stay green with fans on, the bleachers and, just whoever hit us up on Facebook. We went to Amsterdam and, we played games at a fan's house. We're really, I think I speak for everybody when I say, we really don't see ourselves as some enigmas or athletes. We're just guys who happen to get good at video games, and we've realized we can make a bunch of money.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what our really main thing is. When I stayed at the Blomden's house, Limp and Chessie's, we went out and played soccer with their real life friends who happen to be Han players too, and we just would play soccer from 9 p.m. to midnight. And other than that, I don't know. No one's a dick. We try hard not to rage that much, and in real life, I think we're generally agreeable people. And if we happen to make it to DreamHack, which I really hope we do, I invite any and all fans to join us at Trow the weekend afterwards, because it closes down on January 5th, and it'll be a very sad day for everybody.
So there you go. You have an invite to party with the guys from Complexity Gaming, and I can vouch for them and say that it's always a pleasure to be in a lobby or to see them come through in games that I cover, because you guys always do strike me as very laid back. You're here to have a good time. You take the game seriously, but at the end of the day, you appreciate that we're just a bunch of folks who've been lucky enough to make some sort of a living out of esports.
Oh yeah. Just a comment. We really are. The thing that drove me nuts about Dota is I don't understand how these players, you have a chance to win millions of dollars, and you guys have fangirls.
Right.
We didn't have girls. We were lucky to get guy fans, and you guys have these cute chicks dressing up as half naked Lenas to just sign your autograph. And I heard a story about one chick who offered €50 for an introduction to a pro player. €50 or a blowjob just for an introduction. True story.
Fair enough.
And these guys take it for granted. It's are you kidding me? You should be playing for 12 hours a day. What are you doing? You're on Reddit? You're watching Twitch? Get over yourself. Play more Dota. Do you not understand? My friends and family tell me how lucky I am all the time, because it's everyone's lost at my age. You know what the hell to do with your life. And I get to just chill, play Dota, drink beer at night, and look at the sky, and just do nothing but play games. You get to travel the world. You get the chance to make enough money to give you eternal freedom for the rest of your life. What the hell are you doing? Play more Dota.
I like it. That's an amazing assessment of the Dota scene in a nutshell. Guys, I appreciate you being here to hang out with us today. Remember the podcast, we're taping early tonight, so we didn't have to wake our guest up first thing in the morning, so we now tape at 7 a.m., which is ridiculous, I know, but acting gigs, what can you do? That said, the podcast, the RSS feed, the YouTube video, they'll all be live tonight, so a little bit of an early release for you, so check it out for the morning show tomorrow. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Toffees is how you can keep us running and help justify a lot of the time that we spend on the prep work. A big thank you to SwindleMelonzz for being here today, and Complexity Gaming for getting us in touch. Do you have any last words before we sign out?
Yeah, well, I got to give the shout out to
Absolutely.
to the sponsors, of course, Complexity Gaming, the Jasons and Beef. Thanks a lot for hooking us up. Sound Blaster, Cyberpower PC, Newegg, Creative, Twitch, and Corsair Gaming Gear. And then in addition, my team and my family and blah blah blah. All the people. Just wait till I win a LAN, man. I have a list of shout outs. It takes me like 30 seconds plus to get through it all.
I'll tell you what, when you win your LAN, we'll have you back on and we'll do a special 30-second shout out feature, and we'll blast it everywhere. It'll be great.
That's like a plan.
I'm excited.
You say that like it might not happen.
No, I didn't say like it happened.
It's gonna happen.
I think it's a matter of time. My question is when. And that's what we're excited about. I mean, I'm honest to God, and I'll be frank with you. I'm putting it on the table here. When you guys announced Complexity, because I had seen you play, I said to the guys, because I'm in a lot of like caster groups and I talk with a lot of sort of the casters and the personalities on the scene, I was like, these guys have potential, man. This North American Dota scene is growing and they could get there, but it's going to take them a while, at least a year to a year and a half to be competitive. And then all of a sudden, 4 months later, I'm like eating my shoes, going, holy shit, these guys are like blowing my mind right now, competing with teams that I thought were going to be the representatives for North America in a year. So kudos to you guys. You've literally convinced me that you are a team to watch, and that's why you're here.
Can I just interrupt? Like, it's not because we're especially good, really, and I don't think that was the reason we were ever successful in Han. We got 5 players on the team. 2, we broke up with our girlfriends.
Oh.
No one's going to school. No one's got a job.
There you go.
We literally do nothing but play Dota for a minimum of 5 to 6 hours a day. In the month and a week and a half that we've been a team, we have taken 2 days off.
Wow.
And we will continue to work that hard until we see major success. And I think that is the reason we have sort of been ahead of people's expectations, albeit not far enough ahead, because I'm not going to lie, ESL was really the goal, and it really blows to miss out on your goal, because that was the big one, and it really, really crushed us, and we're still getting over it, but that's why we're doing well. It has nothing to do with being especially talented or anything, really. It's just we work hard, and I don't think I would be misleading to say that I think we work harder than almost every team in the game. We just don't have the results to speak for it yet, but I do hope we will soon.
With the work ethic, I'm sure you'll get there, and I think that may be the takeaway here, guys, is that I projected a year and a half based on what the other teams are doing in terms of prep, and perhaps Complexity has found a new way, because in 4 months, they've put themselves in competition through hard work, and I gotta be honest, pretty solid business sense from chatting with you. So, awesome. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you to the fans who are listening. If you're listening to the show right now, in any form, you're helping keep us alive, and we appreciate it, guys. We're going to have this up just as soon as we can, and we'll be back on Friday with a brand new show, a tournament roundup, and an interview with Brax, formerly, it's unofficial as his Twitter still says that he's technically on the team, but formerly of Na'Vi US, so we can chat a little bit about what's going on and maybe shed some light on the future of Brax and the old Na'Vi lineup. That said, guys, have a wonderful day. Play more Dota. Don't stop practicing. And as always, Toffees out.